Hi there. Later, homophobia can be an expensive business. First though, the mom of a transgender teenager is taking legal action in Queensland, Australia over a ban on puberty blockers and gender-affirming care. It's gone to the Supreme Court, with the Director General of Health being ordered to provide a statement explaining the reasons for the freeze on treatment. The woman says her daughter was just weeks away from starting puberty blockers before the ban, which she hopes to get overturned. Professor Ian Hickey is one of more than 100 experts calling for this as well.
Because I don't want to see any child in Australia, particularly in Queensland, miss out on comprehensive medical and psychological assessment and appropriate care for largely political reasons rather than medical or scientific reasons.
Thanks to Channel 10. The ban was approved in January, with kids already on puberty blockers allowed to continue. A review's due within a year. A ban on gay men giving blood in Greece has been reinstated. It was lifted in 2022, but now courts ruled that went against the advice of experts and lacked supporting scientific research. So until studies have been carried out, the ban's back. It was imposed during the AIDS crisis in the 1980s. And don't you just hate it when you post a disgusting homophobic tweet and it ends up costing you more than $500,000? That's how much right-wing Australian politician and fart-made manifest Mark Latham's got to shell out for his attack on gay lawmaker Alex Greenwich. It's been described as vile, just like its author. The message graphically referenced a sex act and poo, the obsession of bigots for some reason. No time to tell you that. A petition for full marriage equality in Ireland passed 2,400 signatures, all to do with the legal rights of the kids of queer parents. And an LGBTQ+ pub in Sydney is now heritage listed, acknowledging the Imperial Hotel's deep cultural and historical significance. It features Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Hi there. We're a bit longer than usual today. You're welcome. Later, how to fix the world economy, bring back pronouns. First though, the latest in our series, nobody cares about trans sports players until they start winning. True though, innit? Cammy Woodman's been kicked off an amateur tennis league in Brooklyn after a cisgender woman who lost to her complained. The 23-year-old, who says she hardly ever wins a game, was asked to play against men instead and rightly refused. Speaking before this nonsense, Cammy told USTA Eastern she felt really accepted.
Queer people in general aren't welcome in sports all the time, and so it was just such a pleasant surprise to start working myself into the community and going from being so nervous about how people would receive me to being, just like part of the family.
The bigot who complained said she shouldn't have to play against a man pretending to be a woman. Other members who supported Cammy claim they've been booted off the league as well. A conversion therapist who was sexually abusing his clients will do at least 15 years in prison, and he'll probably die there. Scott Dale Owen from Utah has been convicted over assaults on 2 men and a teenage girl, but many other alleged victims were in court for his sentencing. One by one, they addressed the 66-year-old from a podium to outline the damage she'd done. One person's been threatened with a knife at a transgender picnic targeted by 2 groups of men. They're not men. Pride flags were torn down and burned at Platfields Park in Manchester in the UK. The event was organised by Trans Mutual Aid Manchester, which says the emotionally incontinent cretins were also shouting abuse. Next, claims America's National Institute of Health's been ordered to investigate the negative effects of transitioning. The journal Nature reckons money's being found for this, despite the government defunding pretty much all research on transgender health. Lots of studies have already found trans people are highly unlikely to regret transitioning. And as the world economy goes up in flames, here's how to fix it: bring back pronouns. Some scamps on socials pointing out how it's only since the inclusive terms became right-wing kryptonite that things have gone off a cliff. One example from Jamel: I receive pronouns in bio. You receive a stable economy and functional government. Hi there. Later, where you can see the UK's AIDS memorial quilt. First though, for the fourth week in a row, Budapest's seen thousands of people on the streets protesting against Hungary's ban on pride events. A new law supposedly to protect children was fast-tracked through Parliament last month. Demonstrators demanding its repeal have filled the Elizabeth Bridge, with some staying all night. Opposition MP David Beda led the march there.
It's much more than just banning pride. They're basically prohibiting any general assembly that is against the government. And this is a very, very slippery slope.
David also tells ITV News he detects the influence of an Orange convicted felon and sexual abuser.
A large part of what's happening right now in Hungary is because they're encouraged by Trump right now.
Several hundred people also protested in the eastern city of Miskolc. It's unusual to see street demonstrations in Hungary outside of Budapest. Meanwhile, a pride parade in India has been cancelled because of threats by Sikh religious groups. They described the event as unnatural and a defilement, promising to stop it in their own way. The parade was due to take place in Amritsar city, north of Delhi, on April 27th. And the UK's AIDS memorial quilt's going on display at the Tate Modern in London. It was created in the 1980s to raise awareness and humanise the people who lost their lives to AIDS. This will be the quilt's first appearance in a major UK arts venue. It's on display from June 12th to the 16th. No time to tell you that. Cameroonian LGBTQ+ activist Bandi Kiki's gotten herself a wife. She met Jenny, who's Nigerian, online, modern. And gay US tennis legend and queer activist Billie Jean King's been honoured with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Hi there. Later, queer allies take on Elon and win. First though, the murder of a transgender woman, which was filmed and posted on social media, has shocked Colombia. Sarah Milleray was raped, her arms and legs were broken, and she was thrown in a stream. The 32-year-old died in hospital a day after last weekend's attack in the city of Bejo. Through a translator, Mayor Lorena Gonzalez calling it an atrocious and hate-filled act.
With my heart in my hands, I tell you that we cannot remain silent. We will demand justice for Sarah, and we will continue working for a city where all lives are dignified and respected. Transphobia kills. No more indifference and no more silence.
It's thought 15 transgender people have been murdered in Colombia so far this year. Next, a transgender military pilot who was falsely blamed for a fatal helicopter crash by a right-wing influencer is suing. Bigoted bedwetter Matt Wallace weaponised January's accident in Washington, D.C., which killed all 67 people on board, to target Joe Ellis, who received death threats. She says he concocted a destructive and irresponsible defamation campaign that monetised a false narrative about her. And the world's worst advert for plastic surgery, Elon Musk, has been forced off a gaming livestream by queer allies. They trolled the hell out of him with pro-transgender messages. He regularly misgenders his trans daughter. The delicate little snowflake disappeared after more spamming, including being told he's got no friends. Reckons his connection went down. And just for balance, I should mention Musk is also the world's worst advert for humanity. Hi there. Later, why are bigots avoiding airport scanners? First though, the cisgender TikToker speaking up for transgender females.
The fact that we have a group of women who are all risking their own personal safety just to have the gumption to say, no, I am a woman and here I am, and we're not standing behind them in unison is crazy to me.
Alexis Rose also says trans women are fully aware of the discrimination they might come up against, but
they're still coming out. Every day we get a new one, and it's beautiful. They're still choosing girlhood. I think they're the best of us.
A show of support for trans people's now had over 370,000 views. Lots of love in the comments. Alexis has been called inspirational, an angel, and a beautiful soul. Slovakia is pushing ahead with moves to limit LGBTQ+ rights. Parliament's voted to advance plans to amend its constitution so only two genders are legally recognised, male and female. They also want to limit adoption to heterosexual married couples. And a far-right religious nutjob says he avoids airport scanners because they might turn him gay. Pastor Andrew Isker, a Christian nationalist from Tennessee, reckons he'd rather be patted down even if it's by a man.
I had to be molested at the airport because I'm not going to go through the gay beam machine. Having a guy touch you all over the place on its face seems worse, but you don't really know what those things are doing to you.
Yes, you do, sweetheart. No time to tell you that. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says queer people are one of the country's greatest strengths. An Airlie beach in Queensland, Australia has celebrated its first Pride. I'm Kev McGraw. See you next week.